Good morning. Happy New Year coming up. Thank you all for visiting with us, and we're continuing our studies from the book of 2 Kings. Today we're in chapter 11. So thank you all and welcome to Bible class with Andre and Betty. In chapter 11, we'll be looking at the death of Athaliah. Athaliah is the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, and she raises herself up as the ruler of the southern kingdom, which is Judah and Benjamin and the other tribes that came over from the northern kingdom. So this lady is a wicked woman, and she's going to die in this chapter. And she herself will reign as ruler for 6 years. She's going to kill all the seed royal, the descendants of her son. She's going to kill them to maintain authority over the people of Judah. And so, beginning in verse 1, and when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal, that is, the descendants of her son. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons, which were slain. And they hid him, that is, Jehoiada and his daughter Jehoshaphat hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain. So this is in keeping the royal line of David going all the way up to Jesus being born in Bethlehem. Verse 3. And he was with her hid in the house of the Lord 6 years. And Athaliah did reign over the land. So she reigned as ruler for 6 years. Verse 4. And the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds with the captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the house of the Lord, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son. Verse 5. And he commanded them, saying, this is the things that you shall do. A third part of you that enter in on the Sabbath day shall even be keepers of the watch of the king's house. And a third part shall be at the gate of Sur, and a third part at the gate behind the guard. So he was surrounding the house with guards to protect young Joash. And so, reading verse 6 again, and a third part shall be at the gate of Sur, and a third part at the gate behind the guard. So shall ye keep the watch of the house, that it be not broken down, that is the king's house. Now when King Solomon built the temple in Jerusalem, he also built his own house and he built the house of the forest of Lebanon, which is where the weapons of war were kept. And so that whole area is dedicated as the Lord's house, even though the temple was the dwelling place of the Lord. But when we keep reading, we'll see things happen, but it won't be in the temple proper. It will be in the house of Lebanon, where weapons were kept, or the king's house. And that's where the king lived. Verse 7. And 2/3 or 2/3 of all of you that go forth on the Sabbath, even they shall keep the watch of the house of the Lord about the king. Verse 8. And you shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hand, and he that cometh within the ranges, or come too close, let him be slain. And be ye with the king as he goeth out, and as he cometh in. So he's a little boy, yet he is being crowned king of the southern kingdom. Verse 9. And the captains over hundreds did according to all things that Jehoiada the priest commanded. Jehoiada was the high priest. And they took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath with them that should go out on the Sabbath, and came to Jehoiada the priest. Verse 10. And to the captains over hundreds did the priest give King David's spears and shields that were in the temple of the Lord. Again, not the temple proper, but in the area of the temple. Verse 11. And the guards stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, round about the king, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner of the temple, along by the altar and the temple. Verse 12. And he brought forth the king's son. Jehoiada brought forth the king's son, and put the crown upon him, and gave him the testimony. The testimony was the 2 tablets of stone that God had written the 10 Commandments on. And so they gave him the testimony, or a copy of the law, and they made him king and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said, God save the king. And when Athaliah heard the noise of the guard and of the people, she came to the people into the temple of the Lord. And when she looked, behold, the king stood by a pillar, as the manner was, and the princes and the trumpeters by the king, and all the people of the land rejoiced and blew with the trumpets. And Athaliah tore her clothes and cried, treason, treason. Verse 15. But Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds, the officers of the host, and said unto them, have her forth without the ranges, take her from before the temple, and him that followeth her kill with the sword. For the priest hath said, let her not be slain in the house of the Lord. And they laid hands on her, and she went by the way by which the horses came into the king's house, and there was she slain. And verse 17, and Jehoiada made a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, between the king also and the people. Verse 18, and all the people of the land went into the house of Baal and brake it down. His altars and his images brake they in pieces thoroughly, and slew Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altars, and the priest appointed officers over the house of the Lord. Now this house of Baal is in the southern kingdom. In chapter 10, verse 27, the the house of Baal was destroyed, but that was in the northern kingdom. And this is in the southern kingdom. They also had become idol worshippers. Verse 19. And he took the rulers over hundreds and the captains and the guard and all the people of the land. And they brought down the king from the house of the Lord and came by the way of the gate of the guard to the king's house. And he sat on the throne of the kings. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was in quiet. And they slew Athaliah with the sword beside the king's house. She died at the horse gate. Verse 21. 7 years old was Jehoash, who is Joash, the same person. 7 years old was Jehoash when he began to reign. And we'll see later that Jehoiada was such a great priest, and he followed the Lord so closely that when he dies, he will be buried among the kings as all the kings were. He will be buried as if he were a king. And so we'll continue our studies next time. It'll be a new year. So I look forward to seeing y'all at that time. You all have a great day and a happy new year. Bye.